So what recently happened is, well, let me just start by saying this. It's 9:45 right now, and about 15 minutes ago, our flight started boarding for Australia. But we're sitting here at my house because I found out this morning that I'm not allowed to leave the country ever again. That was so dramatic. I am. Roll the intro music again. No, I'm allowed to leave the country. If I leave, I can't re-enter. And I found this out because I'm protected under DACA. And long story short, DACA is an executive order made by Barack Obama to basically help childhood arrivals, kids that came here without basically their consent or without their idea of coming here because their parents brought them overseas or brought them from, wherever, and they basically grew up here. So like me, I'm not a citizen. I don't have a visa. I don't have a green card. I would basically be an illegal citizen if it wasn't for DACA. Mm-hmm. I was raised here since I was 5, and I'm as American as it gets. Mm. I'm pretty American.
You're the douchiest, most douchey person I know.
That's
biggest American. When I go loud mouth, hot shot, smacks his lips at the table, calls the waiter with his hand. Excuse me, sits down before the waiter could even speak and says, "We're in a rush." No matter how much time he has, or no matter when he goes to eat. No, you truly are. You're the American France talks about.
Every time I have a waiter, I'm always like, listen, this is my exact line for every waiter, and I know they spit in my food after every time I say this, but I go, hey, I'm trying to say this in the least douchey way possible, but we're in a hurry. And I think that's the most douchey way to say it. But because I always want to get out of dinner quickly, and I know it doesn't speed up anything because I've waited tables before, and I know if someone says that, I'm going to take my fucking time.
Go even slower.
Yeah. But I still say it anyways because I'm a bitch.
Sometimes it works.
Sometimes.
We've had some quick meals.
If you get lucky. But so what happened recently, why we can't go to Australia, is because Donald Trump decided yesterday that he's getting rid of DACA completely. Mm. And he's given the government 6 months to act on it. He's having Congress act on it, and Congress can decide whether or not they want to deport all these DACA people. There's 800,000 people under DACA, which is a shit ton. And that's all of the people that watch your YouTube videos.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Did you know that everyone that watches your videos is protected by DACA?
Hey, that's why my views are down, because people are out.
People are just scared.
Trying not to get deported.
Yeah, or if we get lucky, which isn't going to happen, I really doubt, because Congress is made up of a majority of Republicans, Congress can find an easier way for DACA recipients to get citizenship. And when I tweeted today saying that I'm a DACA recipient, people were there was 10 or 15 people that were like, fuck you, you have so much money, you could have gotten a citizenship. And it's not like that at all. You can't get a citizenship with DACA. You really can't do shit. And it's crazy because the first time I heard it, I thought my parents were idiots. I'm like, you realize how stupid you guys sound right now. When they explained it to me, I found out I wasn't a citizen when I was 16 years old. Yeah. When I got my driver's license, or when I tried to get my driver's license.
Your parents have a habit of not telling you shit. They didn't tell you about 9/11.
They didn't tell me about 9/11.
And they didn't tell you weren't a citizen.
Which is this. Let me just tell the 9/11 story real quick. I was my dad was in New York for 9/11, so I think this is why my parents said it. But they told me that no one got hurt at 9/11, and everyone got off the plane, and everyone got out of the building. And then we were doing some show and tell thing at my second grade class. We were all sitting around. Someone brought up 9/11, and they're like, it was so sad or whatever. I don't know what they said. And then I speak up without even raising my hand. I'm like, yeah, but at least no one got hurt. And then everyone in the class looks at me like, what the hell? And that same night I went home and I found out Santa Claus wasn't real.
You mean 9/11, the happiest day ever? Well, I love 9/11. My daddy told me all about 9/11 and said it was one of the best days ever.
That was me. And everyone looked at me like,
Dobrik, could you go to the principal's office, please?
But yeah, so Trump took away DACA for 800,000 people, and he took away all our travel privileges as of yesterday. So I cannot re-enter the U.S. if I leave the country. What I'm trying to say is I was 16 when I found out I was a DACA person, and I thought up until then that I was just a citizen. And
you go to the DMV, To get your license.
I didn't go to the DMV. I was in class and they asked for my social security number.
Right.
And I didn't have one. I couldn't give him one.
Right.
And excuse me, I wasn't a DACA person yet because Trump hasn't passed it yet.
Right.
And they're like, and I didn't have a social security number. My parents just told me to fill in 0000000. So I did that. Maybe it was like a cheat code. I don't know. But then I got home and they told me that I'm basically as close as it gets to an illegal citizen or an illegal immigrant.
Yeah.
And this was like, I was shell shocked.
Yeah.
Because like my parents and I had like this whole like, it was like my teenage years. I would always pretend like I was like I wasn't a foreigner. Like I would never accept the fact that like I was from Slovakia. So my parents would bring it up. I would be like, no, fuck that. I'm American.
Right.
So this was like a real slap to my face when I'm like this douchey teen. And I'm like, and then they're like, yeah, you're not a citizen. You're not even like legally allowed to be here. And then we got lucky, and then DACA got passed, which was an executive order from Obama, as I mentioned, and that let me stay in the country and work. So I got a job, I started working, and then I ended up here.
By getting a job that helped you stay, or it didn't matter?
No, it didn't matter, but I finally was able to get a job.
Oh, because you got a social security number.
Yeah, I couldn't even work. I couldn't do anything, and a DACA's a work permit, so it lets you work in the U.S. Then I got to come out here and I got to literally do the whole American dream route, you know, just coming out to LA, buying a nice car and buying a nice house, and now Trump's taking it away, and like I really, 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 really hate to like get political because I honestly wouldn't even talk about this if it wasn't for everybody tweeting at me and kind of like pushing this responsibility on me, which I'm totally fine with. But I feel like I kind of should just bring some light to it. I hate to get political. Even if it affects me, I literally don't care. I don't know what it is, but I never think about it. And yeah, a lot of people were bringing it to my attention that like this is bothering and this is changing a lot of people's lives. And so bottom line is Trump's getting rid of DACA, which is absolutely bizarre. And I'm pretty sure 97% of the world is very confused by this.
What did you tell him? You told me what your lawyer said today when you were asking him why Trump is getting rid of DACA.
I was talking to my lawyer and I'm like, listen, we were sitting getting ready for immigration to give me the no-go or to give me the go on this Australia trip. I was sitting there and I'm like, listen, I understand that you're a lawyer that works with immigration, so you probably hate Trump, but give me your most unbiased like facts of why DACA should be gotten rid of.
Yeah.
And he's like, I'm not fucking with you. This is what he said. He said, I'm not fucking with you. There isn't anything. I have yet to read anything that will come out of DACA in a positive way if it ends. And I mean, bottom line is like that from what I'm seeing from everywhere, it's true. I feel like it's just an ego trip for like Americans, for like those hardcore Americans that are like, let's get everybody out of this fucking place. Mm-hmm. Like I this Marine messaged me today and he's like, you have no place here. Like, it's just like ridiculous. Like a Marine, like really? A dude that like represents us. And it's just like, it's just messed up. Like it doesn't make any sense. Like I'm not bothered by it. I don't care what people say because people talk shit to me on the internet a lot. But it's like at the same time, like you run into me on the street, and I'm as American as it gets, and all these DACA people are as American as it gets because a lot of people don't even know their home language anymore. There isn't a home country that they can go back to because this is their home. Like it's as lame as it sounds. Like it's just completely ridiculous.
Well, that's why it's good that you're speaking up.
But it doesn't make sense to me. Like logically, like how does it make sense to get rid of it? Like how does that help the economy? The only thing it does is maybe opens up more entry level jobs for Americans, which I think is such a stupid. I hate when an American goes and says, I've always hated this, and goes, immigrants are taking away our jobs. Immigrants are taking pretty fucking shitty jobs.
Oh yeah,
you gotta be a dumbass American.
Do you know how much fruit is not being picked right now? All the produce is being wasted because there's no one picking it.
Also, this is what I tweeted. I tweeted yesterday. It got very good feedback, which was nuts. I tweeted, I paid $400,000 in taxes last year, and all I got was a free trip back to Slovakia. And like I tweeted that, and someone was like, "What did you expect? Did you expect the roads and the schools and everything to be paid for free? And I'm like, no. Like, that was such a stupid comment.
I don't think they knew anything about DACA.
It was such a stupid comment. And like, especially when you pay $400,000 in taxes, I don't even, I obviously expect citizenship, but I expect a fucking ginormous chocolate cake to be delivered to my front door. That's a lot of money. Yeah. And the fact that I can't travel in and out of the country for, without any problem is ridiculous. And let me tell you that the immigration people, at least here in LA, are douche nuggets. Guys, if you're listening to this and your parent is an immigration lawyer, or not an immigration lawyer, is an immigration staff member in the immigration office, they're probably a douchebag, and you need to sit down with them and have a conversation. I went to one today. This was the second one I've ever gone to. I was trying to go to Australia, and the way I would get approved for this is 3 months ahead of time, and I have to show that there's going to be a financial issue if I don't go, that I'm not going to make money or whatever. So I went this morning, and I gave him a contract that said, if I don't go to Australia today, I will not make $30,000 that I am planned to make, that I have signed a contract to make at VidCon. And he goes, this is what he says. He goes, but where's the financial loss? I'm like, it's right there, $30,000. And he's like, no, that's if you go to Australia. But there's no loss right now because you're not going to Australia.
I can't even wrap my head around what you're saying. I'm trying to wrap it around. I understand what you're saying. I'm trying to understand what he was thinking. There's no loss. So in other words,
he was saying you're not losing $30,000 because you haven't made it yet because I haven't approved you to go on this trip.
Jesus,
like the shittiest catch-22. That's not even a catch-22. It's just, it was bullshit. And he's such a douche. Like he does it. I mean, he sees so many people a day, and like it got me thinking. I called my manager and I'm like, dude, I'm a white guy that makes a lot of money, and like this is how they treat me. Imagine how they treat like Hispanic people or just people like that are actual minorities in immigration offices. Like it must be a shithole. Mm-hmm. It was eye opening. And I was with this guy who was I didn't really like, it didn't bother me that much that they weren't going to send me to Australia because I still have a job here and I'm still going to make a living. But there was this guy I was with that he had kids at home, and what was he trying to do? He's a cinematographer, and he was going to go work on a movie for 4 months. And this is his bread and butter. Like he was going to go to 4 different locations around the world to shoot this movie. And if they didn't approve him, which they weren't going to until like the very last second, he wouldn't have a job for 4 months, and his family literally wouldn't have anything to eat, or I don't even know what happens. And like in that case, it's just so messed up. Especially you would think that they'd want you to leave. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you would open up the roads a little bit.
Yeah, you would think that they'd be like, yeah, leave for a week. Stay in Australia for 8 months if you want.
Yeah, gives a fuck.
But no, they really want you to stay because they're waiting for the day they can deport you and immigration shows up to your house.
Did he get it?
Did who get it?
The cinematographer?
He did. He got the job and he's going. He's a very nice guy.
They approved him, but
I'm
not you.
I'm very happy for him. He wasn't under DACA. He was just a guy looking for a work visa, but he had a very tough time too because of this whole DACA thing. It's just a very hard time for everybody to get out of the country.
I tell you, man, this thing's been hard for you, and I feel bad, but you've been looking pretty street right now. You know what I'm